Former President Donald Trump is trying to juice up the faithful by claiming that he alone can fix everything if they put him back in the White House.
Christians, get out and vote. Just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
We'll have it fixed so good. Yeah, just like, right after the first term when the country was in a literal economic free fall after allowing COVID to ravage the country. So like that. Oh, great. Yeah, nailed it. Now, look, here's the thing. The first 4 years of Biden's term was nothing but trying to recover from Trump and the Republicans being in charge, okay? Now we're actually seeing some decent economic news. Unemployment's down, GDP is up, inflation is slowing, but it is still a gigantic problem. Interest rates are still super high. The rich are still getting richer while the poor are still struggling. All those are true, right? All those things. But there's a lot of work to do, okay? To not only keep recovering from Donald Trump, but also maybe someday kind of move forward. Well, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? Now, the problem here is it takes a lot of time to recover from the disaster of a Republican presidency, okay? Let's take the tax cuts, for example, the Donald Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. How did that impact the economy? What kind of impact has it had on average working people versus rich people? Well, it massively helped the rich at the expense of average working people. In fact, households with incomes in the top 1% receive an average tax cut of more than $60,000 in 2025, compared to an average tax cut of less than $500 for households in the bottom 60%. Wow. Not only that, but Trump promised that his tax cuts would very conservatively lead to a $4,000 boost in household income. Did that happen? No. Research found that workers who earn less than about $114,000 on average in 2016 saw no change in earnings from the corporate tax rate cut, while executives, the top executive salaries increased sharply. And of course, this is all while inflation has increased. So, if we go back to Donald Trump, what is he going to do? He's going to give more tax cuts to corporations and the rich. He's going to nominate more ultra-conservative judges and promote Christian nationalism. That's it. That's the reality here. That's his pitch to, by the way, Christians. He's like, oh, you're not going to have to worry about it. Now, a lot of people are concerned that Trump has here admitted that, yeah, I'm going to be a dictator. I mean, he already did say I'm going to be a dictator on day one, but just for a day. And now maybe it's like, maybe more than a day, as a treat. In fact, you have constitutional civil rights attorney Andrew Seidel saying this, quote, "This is not subtle Christian nationalism. He's talking about ending a democracy and installing a Christian nation." NBC legal commentator Katie Fang says, in other words, Trump won't ever leave the White House if he gets reelected. Not only that, but of course you have experts on authoritarianism that are warning the public to take Trump at his word when he says things like this. I know it's hard to take the guy who lied over 30,000 times at his word on anything, but when it comes to, hey, look, I would like to stay in power for as long as possible, yeah, that you might want to take that a little bit seriously, okay? Considering how, of course, extreme Project 2025 is, how much power it would concentrate into the executive branch. You also have the fact that the Supreme Court gave the president near total immunity. I mean, all these things are like, okay, so if you were to say something like this, like years ago, oh, George W. Bush, he's gonna be a dictator. You'd be like, I don't know, I think you're being a bit hyperbolic on that, right? But when you place Trump's comments into the context of everything that has come before, I know, look, I know, like supporting Kamala Harris, you're supposed to be, unburdened by the context of the things that have come before. In this case, Donald Trump, massively burdened, okay? Because you look at January 6th, you look at the fake electors, you look at all of his attempts to try to stay into power and realize, maybe he will be an authoritarian. Huh. Yeah, maybe there's a chance of that actually happening. Now, that said, not everybody's sold on this interpretation. Kate Bedingfield, the former White House communications director, did write this, quote, "I realize this will earn me the ire of many Dems, but I don't think that here he's saying that there will be no more elections. I think he is saying, I won't be on the ticket either way, so who cares?" Really? You don't think? If he loses this, I'm almost certain that we'll be seeing Trump 2028. He can't help himself, okay? But he did say, quote, "which is hideously damning in its own right, because this is what the Republican Party has turned itself inside out and shredded its credibility for, to become a stand account for this one awful narcissistic guy." Look, the second part I 100% agree with. Yes, they are a stand account for this awful narcissistic guy. It is a cult movement at this point. But I'm not so sure about the first. Again, authoritarians have historically gotten into power by using democratic means. And then once they're into power, they shred those means to stay in power. That's what happens. I would be concerned that if given another shot, Donald Trump would try to stay in power. I do believe that January 6th was a dry run for such an attempt. Not only that, but you have a lot of right-wingers out there that are openly okay with authoritarianism as long as it's Donald Trump doing the, authoritating, okay? An Ipsos poll published in June and commissioned by the Earth for All nonprofit and Global Commons Alliance found that 41% of Americans believe that having a strong leader who does not have to bother with parliament and elections is a very good or fairly good way to govern. To not have to deal with the parliament or the elections. You know what that is? That's a monarchy. You're just describing a monarchy. 41% of Americans like, you know what would be great? We went back to having a king. Wow. Wait, hold on here. You want to call yourself a patriotic American and then turn your back on pretty much the reason that the colonies broke away from England in the first place? The monarchy? And look, by the way, some of the people who answered in the affirmative on that happen to be younger people, some younger people, and high earners. Generally, the people who do well in monarchies are the rich. Yeah. And so there's more. Another Reuters Ipsos poll earlier this year showed about 52% of Republicans agreed that the country needs a, quote, strong president who should be allowed to rule without too much interference from courts and Congress. A PRRI study done last October found 38% of Americans, 48% of Republicans, 38% of independents, and 29% of Democrats think the country needs a leader who will break some rules if that's what it takes to set things right. Which rules? In a 2022 poll, Democratic Operative found that 56% of voters surveyed agreed that Washington is broken, which I do agree with, and that for America to remain a world power, we need stronger presidents who will use their power to make change and get things done. I don't agree with that. 44% backed the American tradition of competing branches of government as a model, if sometimes a frustrating system. So I'm actually with the minority there, because I do believe in the separation of powers. I do believe that, yes, it can be frustrating sometimes, but generally I tend to believe in co-equal branches of government being able to do their thing, right? And see, here's the thing now. The real issue is not that the president isn't strong enough. Okay, it's the fact that our political system is awash in lobbyist money. The greed, the corruption, that is the real issue. Okay, that's why a lot of things don't get done that benefit the working class. It is the donors that is the problem. Giving more power to the president, who also gets bankrolled by the same donors, is not going to solve such a problem. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. But at the end of the day, you can see Republicans want more authoritarianism if it means Trump. And I think Trump, only a fool walks away from real power, right? Is Donald Trump a fool? Well, maybe. But not in that way, okay? But look, these people who would vote for authoritarianism, Christian nationalism, or Trump, they don't quite understand, or maybe some of them do, but they don't understand that under Christian nationalism, the donors will still rule, okay? And maybe some of them, again, are in favor of that. And not only that, but the people who will be left with less freedom and opportunity, okay? And again, maybe some of them are counting on that because they're the ones who already have freedom and power and opportunity and just want to close the door off to other people, maybe. But I'm talking more of like the average MAGA guy voter who, you know, makes $30,000 a year and is like, yeah, Christian nationalism, MAGA, whoa. No, you're going to lose your opportunity. You're not going to have any way to get ahead. All you're doing is voting for a party and a president that is going to continuously reap more and more rewards onto the wealthy and powerful to help them remain so at your expense. So that's the reality. And unfortunately, I know that I'm not going to be able to get through to them. I don't think anyone can, but at the same time, it is important to point out that this is what they want and this is what they're voting for. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.